Okay, welcome to Mr. Quick's class. Today we're going to have the 11th grade purple group. They're going to teach us how to write a rhetorical essay. So we're going to get started in a moment.
Hey ladies and gentlemen, now we're going to be talking about how to write a rhetorical essay. But first, let us introduce ourselves. We are the purple group of grade 11, and in the last couple of weeks we have been learning how to write a rhetorical essay from Mr. Quick. You have to check him out. He's a really good teacher. Check his YouTube and everything. Okay, let's get started. First step, there are initially 7 steps to write the rhetorical essay, which is the first step is understanding the question. But really, is it understanding the question that makes it's not really rhetorical, since you have to read an article to figure out what you're going to write about. So it's not really understanding the question, but you're going to have to figure out the scopes, which are these speaker, audience, occasion, subject, and purpose. You have to determine the appeals. Okay, let's have a moment to talk about the appeals right now. The appeals are the ways that the author presents his argument. One of 3 ways, which is ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos is using real facts and evidence of what happened, or a research done by other people. Pathos is using the emotions to persuade the reader to get your argument, to accept it. And lastly, logos is using logical reasoning to motivate the reader, or persuade the reader to make him understand your argument. And then you have to determine the style. The style is how the reader presents his appeals. And you probably know what the styles are. You have been using a lot of styles: tone, personification, figures of speech, syntax. What is really, let's get deep into those meanings. Really. Figure of speech is basically without really giving literal meaning, like personification, giving life to something that is not living. Like you could talk about like a chair. When you're moving a chair, it whispers your name or whatever. And that's and syntax is basically using what does the author use. Like in Walden, Henry David Thoreau has used long sentences, and he had some questions, rhetorical questions to ask. And tone is how, like, the attitude of the writer. Now let's keep going. Second step, which is the brainstorming. Brainstorming, how you do the brainstorming. It's like a T, 2 columns, and basically writing what you are going to use. If you're going to use ethos, you have appeals on the side and styles on the other side, and you're really going to marry them together. You are going to say basically like ethos and creative. Thoreau used a lot of details from his personal life and factual evidence to write well. So you're going to say appeals, ethos, and details on the other side, which is the style. And you got to marry them together. And we are going to have these points are the main points for the outline, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, that we are going to use to write the whole essay. But first, what is a brainstorm? Brainstorm is a production of thoughts and ideas that makes it easier for you to write the essay later on, because it's basically the seeds, and the essay is going to be the tree that the seeds get out of. Next, we're going to be talking about the outline. Third step. Later on, we're going to be talking about the outline, because the thesis statement is really important. What is the thesis statement? Thesis statement is a group of organized words that expresses a complete thought, stating a clearly defined opinion or position on the subject and the reasons. There are a couple of formats for the thesis. You can start out with the subject and the opinion and reasons. You can start with the opinion, then subject, then reasons. Or you can basically put the reasons, then the subject, then opinion, or reasons, then the opinion, then the subject. Thesis statement is basically the main thought, what like the reader understands the argument from. It is found in the first paragraph, the introduction paragraph, which we're going to be talking in a little bit, and the last sentence. But right now, we're not really going to have reasons or opinion either, because we're writing a rhetorical essay explaining how we make the argument. So the reasons are not really going to be reasons, but we're going to say how we used it, which are basically going to be the appeals and the styles. And the opinion is not going to be an opinion, but it's going to be merely on the subject you took. Go to the fourth step, which we talked about, which is the outline. The outline is a group of organized thoughts, examples, and evidence that detail a well thought out, extended discussion. Now, the outline is really what you're going to use mostly to write the essay. It is organized for you to not have to think what I should be thinking of, or you forget what you had to say. There are 4 elements in an outline: main idea, which is the thesis; sub-main idea, which is the reasons, or as we said, it's the appeals and styles. Points of ideas is basically what we take from the example evidence with other side. So it's going to be 2 columns, one side for the main idea, one side for the points you're going to make, and the other side is for the evidence. Now, we have to divide it up. The first part of the column is going to be for the main idea, which is the thesis. It's going to, the thesis basically going introduction paragraph, which is going, introduction paragraph in the last sentence. But we're not really going to write an introduction, we're just going to write the thesis where it should be. Some main idea, the reasons. On the right side of the column, which you have to, right side of the column, which is basically the main idea, it will be the left side of the appeals and styles that you married. Points of idea, which you take from the brainstorm, and examples and evidence is the right side, what you're basically making the argument credible on. Next, fifth step, which is the introduction. It has to capture the reader's interest. It has to capture the reader's interest, because if you don't make a good introduction, the reader won't be interested in reading your whole essay. And that's the reader to the main topic, because you have to know what the main topic is to rely on to make the reader understand what he's about to read. Format of the introduction paragraph. The introduction paragraph has 4 sentences, and as we said before, the thesis statement is going to be the last. First, going to describe the introduction is going to describe the soaps earlier, which is going to speaker, occasion, and subject. Second sentence, purpose. Third sentence, audience. And then, lastly, the 4th sentence would be the thesis statement. And the introduction. Next. 6th step is the body paragraph. This information comes from the outline. It's the most important. The format of the body paragraph is 4 sentences, but we're talking about like a 3,000. We're talking about the 3,000 word essay. Not really. You're going to use 4 sentences in the body paragraph. But if you're talking about 5 paragraph essay, you are going to repeat sentence 2 over, and you're going to extend it to 8 sentences or 12 sentences. Format of the body paragraph. The first sentence is basically the text being discussed with the main idea. Now we're talking about the first body of the, because you have to give the reader what you're talking about. What is the article you read to like text being discussed. So it will be, for instance, Walden is a narrative essay. You can say that like Thoreau in his narrative book, and then you can say what his main idea was, which is basically environmentalism. He was motivating the readers, or basically the environments or nature lovers, to save nature and help. Sentence 2, example for one rhetorical strategy. The first sentence, the sub-main idea, and the sentence 2 is basically the points that you put from the outline. Sentence 3, how sentence 2 helps the reader. You basically can say that the audience, like it helped the audience, how it helped the audience and whatnot. And sentence 4, of course, the effect of the strategy. You have to say, how did it hit, or how did it have like a good thing to do? So, effective strategy, you can say which tone it used. Next. Okay, now before we go on to the 7th, we have to talk about how you add examples, because you just can't put the quotes, or you can't just, you have to introduce the example before you put it. Adding example, but there are 2 ways to add examples. Direct quote, so introduce it first, like the author stated, or by another means. Example, we could say he was describing the pond, and then he was describing the pickerel and perch, where basically he stated that they are not gray like the pines, nor gray like the stones, nor blue like the skies. And the other way is by paraphrasing it. And now, example of paraphrasing it, you're just putting it, you're not really direct quoting, or you're having a quote and then copy paste. So basically, we're going to describe the same the quote here, but we're using our own words. Pickerel wallet to have a red color. Okay, next. Body paragraphs. We still have body paragraphs. We're going to talk about it before we get to the conclusion, which is the 7th and last step. You have other ways. This week we're talking about we're using the last format for the first one. You are just basically, you're not gonna talk again about the type of text. He already knows from the first time. So way 1 is transitional word, and then write his last name and he or she. You can basically choose out of them, and then continues or stops. Strong verbal that about main idea of the section of the verb. You are giving the reader something to rely on. If he continues or stops using the same appeal as Sarah, or does he continue on describing the pickerel or not? Another way is by you have if he's like extending the use of appeal of the same appeal or style over the next few paragraphs or sentences. He changes or continues to describe the tone or point of view. And then you can put a small example from the text, and then a transition word, what the author does with the part of the text. Does he describe it? Does he implement something? Okay, now we're heading on to the 7th step, which is the conclusion. Okay. 7th conclusion. Of course, from the name, it concludes the paragraph. It has 3 to 4 sentences. Well, good. conclusion should have one of these, which basically summarizing major topics. If we're talking about a really big essay, a 3,000 word one, you should give the reader an idea of what you were talking about, since he might forget. Or major topics, basically give more details about a topic. Give results of a chain of reasoning. You were talking about A, B, C, D, and then now you want to give the results in the conclusion, or stimulate the reader tab. And this is really good, or it has another name, which is a call to action. You motivate the reader or persuade the reader to act, like as if Walden in the chapter The Pond in Winter, he motivates the reader to help the pond and to help nature as a whole. Next. Now we finished the step. We're going to talk about how more of the stuff we can use, like transitional words. We have to give the author, we have to give the reader something. We don't have to make it really boring, so we have to use words which connects the ideas, or introduce certain shifts, which are the transition words. Examples of transition words, basically, there are groups: adding, compare, result, or contrast. Adding, you can have examples of like furthermore, moreover. These adds to the stuff. And compare, you are comparing, like likewise, like, or as. You are giving a point, then comparing it to another point. So you keep going. And then result, to the point of, or you're giving the results of what you said. And then contrast, which is basically however, or different, a lot, etc. Other words. Next. Okay, Mla format. There's a modern language association. They have agreed on a format to use. Professors and teachers ask for, or they teach. It should be font size 12. Font type is Times New Roman, and line spacing between line is 2.0. Really important, we have to talk about the citation, and it is really important because a lot of professors they have to agree about citation, because it makes critical and whatnot to the argument making or to the essay writing. There's two citations as for the Mla format. It's a parenthetical citation. After you put the example, or paraphrasing, you have to put the parenthetical citation, like 25. It's basically a text citation after you put the example. We can say the example we said earlier: they are not green like the pines, nor gray like the stones, nor blue like the skies. And then after we put the quotation, we use parentheses, and then we say author's last name, which is Thoreau, page number. It could be 10. And the overall citation at the end of the essay, and you are basically giving it. You are giving it credibility and giving the rights on how to use it. The overall citation at the end of the essay. There's a really good site to use. Copyrights, I'm sorry, but it's calm. It makes the site tick for you. Okay. We now have to recall what we were saying. So let's go back and give some more detail what we were talking about. First, of course, we introduce ourselves. Then we're talking about 7 steps, which are basically, first step is understanding the question. What we said, it's not really an argumentative essay, so you're not really going to understand the question. Rather, you're going to read the article that you're going to talk about, or the book, etc. You have to figure out source, subject, occasion, audience, purpose, and speaker. Let's give you examples more about the chapter, The Pond in Winter in Walden. For the speaker, it should be Henry David Thoreau because he's the one that wrote it. Occasion, he was writing it as he went out to get the water, and then he deep thought about the beauty of nature and the beauty of the pond. He was just going out to get some water from the pond, and then he saw the fishermen and wild men, and he started describing them. The audience, specifically environmentalists and nature lovers, because he is using this to help preserve the pond later on in life and help protect nature. The purpose is, as we readers, to help protect nature and help save it. The subject is the pond in winter, which is the chapter. During the appeals, the overall appeals that Henry David Thoreau used was ethos. Mostly he used ethos. He used some pathos, and he also used logos. The styles that we married to the appeals were tones for the pathos, details for the ethos, and figure of speech for the logos. Next step, which is the brainstorming. The second step, which is brainstorming, is production of thoughts and ideas to give basically the start of how to write your essay, which you're going to give to the outline later on. Connects the views themselves. We said ethos details, pathos tone, and logos figures of speech. These are not the only ways you connect them, but these were the main ways. Outline, it gives it the main points for the outline. Third step, thesis statement. Thesis we are going to give the stuff we wrote from the outline, and then write, like Henry used different methods to show us his argument, details from his personal life, emotional appeals, and logical persuasions. Fourth step, the outline is a group of organized thoughts, examples, and evidence that detail a thought, extended discussion. 4 elements: main idea, thesis, sub-main idea, point, and examples, evidence. You are marrying the points to the examples to give you credibility, and sub-main ideas are the things you take from the brainstorm, which is basically gives details from his personal life if we're going to take it as an example. And main idea is basically the thesis is going to go into the introduction box. 5th step, introduction. Remember that it has to capture the reader's attention, and it has to capture the reader's interest, because if it's not capturing the reader's interest, he would not read it. He would not have any feelings towards it. As for instance, if you like skateboarding, you could talk about you should have a small, not small, but your main point would be skateboarding. You should start off with skateboarding with a question or a quote that. Okay. First sentence, we said it will say the speaker, occasion, subject. Second sentence, purpose. Third sentence, audience. And fourth sentence, the last sentence in the introductory paragraph will be the thesis statement. Next. Okay, the 6th step is body paragraph. It has the bulk of information. It has all the information you get from the outline. Sentence one, as we said, for the first body paragraph, you have to talk about the text being discussed, which is for Walden or the Pond and Winter is narrated with the main idea, which is like how the pond is really great and beautiful. Sentence two, example for one rhetorical strategy, as we could say, we could use pathos and tone for the example we said, like they're not green like the pines, nor gray like the stones, nor blue like the skies, but they have red color. He's using like a satisfied tone to convey to the reader that it's really great and has its unique color. Sentence three, how sentence two helps the reader to relate. Sentence four, adding examples. We said by adding examples, you have two ways: direct quotation, and we said an example for it, and paraphrasing it. And paraphrasing is better, like teachers and professors like it more because it gives them an implement that you understand what you're writing, not just getting the quote and pasting it on your research essay. We're still talking about the body paragraphs, which has two other ways other than the first one, because you're not going to have it very repetitive. Anyways, it was really repetitive on its own because it has a unique format for itself. Next, seventh step, which is the conclusion. It concludes the paragraph, 3 to 4 sentences. Should perform one of these. It could be better if you perform more than one. Summarizing major topics, emphasizing one or more major topics, give the results of a chain of reasoning, or stimulate the reader to act. The call to action is really good, and we'll use it a lot overall on his book. Next, remember, you want to connect ideas and to your essay, so you have to use it transitional words. You don't have to make the reader really bored and not understanding how this went from that, whatnot. Transition words has a lot of other things than this. It has adding, compare, result, contrast, purpose. And lastly, we talked about the Mla format in which all the professors and teachers either they teach it or they need it on the students' writing. Thank you. I wish I'll be here again. Maybe not. Check out Mr. Quick's. Shout out to his site, his YouTube, everything. Thank you. Shout out to you,